This is the maximum amount of sugar we're allowed in a day. But most of us have double or triple this, which over a week and a month leads to a huge excess. And it's not just coming from sweets and fizzy drinks. Today, I'm going to show you where added sugar sneaks into your diet, how it affects your waistline, energy levels, and cravings. And I'm going to share my 6 practical tips to help you give up sugar without giving up everything you love. Now, controversial take, but I don't actually think sugar is that bad. In fact, I have something sweet most days and I'm still alive to tell the tale. The real issue is that sugar sneaks into so many everyday foods. So a lot of people are eating far more than they ever realize. So if sugar is hiding in plain sight, where is it actually coming from? Well, often from foods that many of us think are healthy. Like this probiotic vanilla yogurt, for example. 4 teaspoons of added sugar. Granola bar, 3 teaspoons of added sugar. Instant oatmeal. And this one is labeled as made with real fruit pieces, high in fiber, source of protein and gluten-free. Sounds incredible. 3 teaspoons of added sugar. Then we have your classic ketchup. In 1 tablespoon, not a very large amount, we have 1 teaspoon of sugar. And I'm pretty confident most people are using much more ketchup than that. Then we have peanut butter. Often low-fat versions are the worst because when fat is removed, sugar is typically added to make it taste better. And in 1 small serving of peanut butter, again, in this small amount, you have 1 teaspoon of sugar. And the list goes on. Pre-made soups, sauces, plant-based milks, coffee drinks, sometimes even your vitamin and mineral supplements, these often can contain added sugar. So just a few of these in a single morning and you've already surpassed your daily recommended intake of sugar. And in fact, the latest US dietary guidelines suggest that if you are going to include added sugar in your diet, keeping it under about 2.5 teaspoons per meal is a sensible upper limit. So you can see how quickly all of this begins to add up. But there is one other problem. Manufacturers hide sugar under many different names. Things like syrup, agave, and fruit concentrates. And clever marketing often makes us think that some sugars are somehow healthier than others. You'll see plenty of recipes online and expensive health foods in the grocery store, marketed as being refined sugar-free or using natural sugars like date syrup, coconut sugar, or agave nectar. But from a nutritional perspective, it's still sugar. Once you eat these, your body breaks them down into simple sugars in the bloodstream, just like your regular added sugar. But here is the important part. Not all sugar works the same way in the body. Take a whole apple, for example. Yes, it contains sugar, but it also comes packaged with fiber, vitamins, and antioxidants. So when you eat that whole apple, that fiber slows the absorption of sugar into your bloodstream. So instead of a big rapid spike, you get a steadier release of energy and you're more likely to feel full afterwards. The same idea applies to foods like whole grains or potatoes with the skin on, quinoa and lentils. They come with that natural structure of nutrients and fiber, which is what's linked to better health outcomes. Now I want you to compare that to apple juice. To make 1 glass of apple juice, several apples are squeezed and the fiber is largely removed. This juice here is about the equivalent of 4 apples. That means the sugar has become much more concentrated and it's much easier for your body to absorb. And if you were to eat 4 apples, this would probably take you like 15 minutes, if not half an hour. Plus, you probably would not even want to eat 4 apples in one go. But a glass of apple juice, it would be very easy to drink this in under 10 seconds. So even though the sugar is chemically the same, the form that it comes in changes how your body responds to it. And this is where it's helpful to understand the 3 main types of sugar. So first we have natural sugars. These are sugars that are locked inside the structure of a whole food, like your fruit, your vegetables, and your milk. Then we have free sugars. These are sugars that are no longer trapped inside the food's natural structure. And a good example of this is your fruit juice. And finally, we have added sugars. These are sugars that are added to food during processing or cooking. Things like table sugar, syrups, or honey added to recipes. So if you want to cut back on sugar, I'm going to give you 5 practical strategies that actually work. Because the reality is, cutting out sugar completely probably is not realistic, but small changes, they can make a really big difference. So my first tip is to start with the obvious. Things like your sweets, your desserts, and your sugary drinks. These are the low-hanging fruit, where even small reductions can make a really big difference. Now, as a dietitian, I usually tell my clients that everything in moderation is okay. If you really love banoffee pie or Haagen-Dazs ice cream, once in a while, these treats are completely fine. But there is one exception where I make a very strong recommendation, and that is sugary drinks. And honestly, when it comes to health, these are about as close to poison as we can get in the modern diet. These drinks can contain huge amounts of added sugar. And the problem is that when this sugar is in a liquid form, it's incredibly easy to consume quickly, and it doesn't make you feel very full. So your body absorbs that sugar rapidly, but you're often hungry again soon after. And this is why sugary drinks are one of the biggest contributors to weight gain. And it's not just your typical fizzy drinks. Sometimes it's your fancy coffee order in Starbucks that might seem kind of healthy on the outside, that can be giving you a lot more sugar than you realize. But if you do enjoy fizzy drinks, the diet or the zero versions are usually a better option. And another good alternative is sparkling water or a flavored sparkling water. But once you've got this red zone mostly under control, where sugary drinks are hopefully gone, and your sweets and your desserts are more of an occasional treat, that's where we can move on to the yellow zone. This is where we start looking at where sugar is maybe sneaking into foods that we don't even really realize. Which brings me nicely onto tip number 2. We all want to learn how to read a food label. It's something I teach all of my nutrition clients. It's where we're going to spot the hidden sugars. So first things first, you want to start with the ingredient list. It's the simplest way to look at it. Ingredients are listed in order of quantity. So the earlier something appears on the list, the more of it the product contains. So if sugar, honey, syrups, concentrates, any of those things appear near the top of the list, particularly in the first 3 ingredients, it's usually a sign the product is relatively high in sugar. Then you want to look at the nutrition panel. In the US, you'll see total sugars and added sugars, while in other countries like in Ireland and in the EU, you'll see of which sugars. Either way, this tells you how much sugar is in the product. And as a very rough guide, foods with about less than 5 grams of sugar per 100 grams are considered low in sugar. Foods with more than 22 grams per 100 grams are considered high in sugar. And another thing that many people don't realize is that, again, sugars are under many different names on ingredient labels. Things like glucose, fructose, sucrose, maltose, syrups, honey, fruit concentrate, juice concentrate. Again, these are all forms of sugars. But once you know what to look for, it becomes much easier to spot where sugar is hiding in everyday foods. And if you want a quick reference, I've created a free downloadable guide on how to read food labels. I'll leave it linked in the description box down below. But I'd recommend using this on your next few shopping trips. And after a while, you'll start recognizing these things instantly and you won't even have to think about it. Now, my next tip is probably the most useful because I hear all the time, and I even said it myself, that you think you're addicted to sugar or that you always need something sweet after your dinner maybe. But in many cases, it's not really a craving at all. What's actually happening is something much simpler. It's habit. If you've had something sweet after dinner for years, your brain then just expects it. Same time, same place, same routine. So when dinner ends, your brain basically says, okay, where is the dessert? And I used to think this meant that I had serious sugar cravings, that my brain was wired differently. But honestly, it was just a habit that had become really ingrained. And one of the easiest ways to break that pattern is something called a craving delay. When the urge for something sweet hits, don't fight it, just pause it. Set a 5-minute timer on your phone. During those 5 minutes, change what you're doing. Leave the kitchen, tidy the dinner plates, reply to a message, step outside, walk around the house. Anything that creates just that little bit of distance from the food craving. Because the interesting thing is that most cravings are actually very short-lived. They tend to peak and fade within minutes. So by delaying the craving and changing your environment, you interrupt that automatic habit loop. And a lot of the time, By the time the timer goes off, the craving has already passed. Now, another mistake a lot of people make when they're trying to reduce sugar is they try to eliminate it completely overnight. And for most people, that approach usually backfires. Instead, a much more sustainable strategy is to gradually reduce how sweet things are in your diet. For example, if you always have 2 or 3 sugars in your tea or coffee, bring that back to 1. Try switching to plain yogurt varieties instead of the sweetened ones. Maybe mix a higher sugar breakfast cereal with a lower sugar one in the beginning, or simply reduce the amount of sugar that you add in your cooking or baking. Because over time, something really interesting starts to happen. Over time, your taste buds adapt, and they can do this within weeks. Foods that once tasted normal can now taste overly sweet. And you may find that you actually begin to prefer less sugar. Remember that not all sweetness is a problem. Whole foods, like your fruit, come packaged with the fiber, the vitamins, the minerals, the antioxidants, which help slow that absorption of sugar and support your overall health. So instead of trying to remove sweetness from your diet completely, the goal is simply to shift where that sweetness is coming from. For example, if you enjoy something sweet after meals, try building a dessert around whole foods. You could have fruit with Greek yogurt, which adds protein and makes it more satisfying. Or something simple like apple slices and peanut butter. Ideally, a peanut butter that's 100% nuts. Or a small piece of dark chocolate with some berries. Another option is to learn how to make simple, healthier desserts that taste incredible and are still extremely satisfying. When I was getting in shape for my wedding, I used to have these Ninja Creamy protein ice creams almost every evening, or these Snickers yogurt cups. I'll leave links to the recipes down below, but I never ever once felt deprived. And I loved and looked forward to these treats every single day. And that is what is key to staying on track for a long period of time and being consistent. Now, the last tip can make a much bigger difference than so many people realize. But instead of only focusing on cutting out sugar from your diet, one of the most effective things that you can do is making sure that your meals are satisfying enough. Because most sugar cravings do not come from addiction. They come from under-eating earlier in the day. If your breakfast or your lunch is mostly refined carbohydrates, your blood sugar can spike and then drop. And when that drop happens, your brain starts looking for a quick source of energy, which is usually something sweet. So one of the easiest ways to reduce cravings is to build your meals around protein and fiber. For many of my clients, I recommend at meal times that they aim for half of their plate to be vegetables or salad. 1/4 is hopefully a high fiber carbohydrate, and 1/4 is a good protein source. Then with a little drizzle of fat. Because protein, fiber, and healthy fats, they all slow digestion and make you feel fuller for longer, keeping your energy levels much more stable. And when your meals are built this way, something interesting happens. Those intense sugar cravings, well, they often don't show up in the first place, which means you spend far less time thinking about sugar at all. So hopefully you can see now that cutting out sugar does not mean eliminating it completely. And honestly, for most people, that approach is just not realistic. And we definitely do not need to feel guilty about enjoying something sweet every once in a while. The real goal is to simply become that little bit more aware of where sugar is coming from in our diets. We need to outsmart the food industry. Because for many people, it is not the occasional dessert that's the problem. It's the everyday hidden sugars that slowly start to add up. So if you want help spotting those, make sure to download my free label reading guide down below. And I'm curious, what food surprised you the most when you realized it had added sugar? I'll give you one. McDonald's fries, they contain sugar. Let me know in the comments what you find. And if you enjoyed this video, YouTube thinks you would like to watch this one next. As always, thank you very much for watching. Stay happy and stay healthy, and I'll see you again next week. Thanks for watching.